Welcome back to Fit to Lead, the podcast for people who want more out of life. I'm your host, Sarah, and every week I'm here to help you overcome challenges, build better habits, and feel amazing in your own body, because when you feel amazing and strong, you lead strong. So let's dive in. So in this week's episode, I'm going to be talking about how I overcome the fear of flying. For most of my life, I was terrified of flying, like sweaty palms, heart racing, gripping my husband's hand and the armrest and holding on for dear life kind of situation. And I know so many of you feel the same. Obviously, if you know me now, you know that I work in aviation and I absolutely love flying. It wasn't always the case, and I'm going to delve in further to my story. So I just want to share with you my story of how I overcome the fear and what happened to me going from being anxious passenger to someone now who totally feels at home in the sky. I absolutely love it. When I was growing up, flying was always linked to anxiety for me. I don't know whether when we were younger, we never really used to travel on a plane because we didn't really have the money when we used to go camping and things like that. Like being on an aeroplane was very limited in those days. But when I did, and I remember that being on the plane for the first time, it's all the noises that come through and all the turbulence and, I never understood what noises were what. You'd hear all the noises coming from outside and inside. And when we took off, we'd hit all bumps and, it's just an awful feeling dropping out of the sky. I actually remember when I flew with my daughter, actually. She's now 25, and this is how long ago it was. She was only about 6 months old. She was sitting on my lap, and we took off from Heathrow in London. And as we were taking off, they had the red arrows, which is, if you don't know what they are, it's just a group of aircrafts that fly around at air shows together. And they were practicing. And they had made what they called air pockets, which I had no idea at the time what this was all about. But anyway, we flew into this air pocket and the aircraft must have dropped. I don't even know how many feet out of the sky, but it dropped. It was a huge drop. Everyone screamed, and then it stabilized, and then it dropped again. So we're just in a double air pocket. It was the most horrific thing that I've ever experienced in my life. And I was so scared, but I was trying to stay so strong because my daughter was on my lap, but she was laughing. Because she was only young, she had no idea. It was just, we were rocking and everyone's screaming and she's laughing. And it was quite funny to look back at. But I was absolutely petrified. And I just think because I hadn't really flown much as a youngster, we did a lot more traveling once we started having children. So I've always wondered as well at the time, like, how does this giant metal tube stay in the air? The thought of it is frightening. I don't know anyone out there that is not a great flyer. I'm sure you go through all of these thoughts and feelings, exactly what I've just mentioned. And I'm sure you go through that every day. And I do feel bad for you because it's not a nice place to be in. But I'm here to share my story on how I've overcome, and now it is my job and I'm in the sky every day. So for me, there was one moment I think that really, truly made me rethink everything. A friend and I, we were traveling for a couple of days on a work trip, and I was a bit nervous because obviously I didn't have anyone else with me other than my friend at the time, and she's still my friend now. And so we'd booked this flight, and I know that she was going out the night before with friends, but I said, that's okay, I will pick you up early in the morning. So my husband, now Neil, he was driving, and we went to pick her up, and there was no answer at her front door. This was at 6 a.m. in the morning. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, we need to make this flight, but she's not answering her door. And we must have stood there for about 20 minutes and I started to panic because I'm thinking, oh my God, I now have to fly on my own. And I just don't think I can do it. I'm just too nervous to do it because all these thoughts were going for what am I going to do? You know, I've got to deal with this all on my own. Anyway, finally, she rocks up. She just come home from the club. So you can imagine the state she was in. She was hungover and just in a mess. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I just said to her, do you still want to go? And she's like, absolutely, I do. I'm going to get my stuff. And anyway, off we go to the airport. We did have to make a couple of stops on the way for her to vomit on the side of the road, which wasn't ideal. But anyway, I thought, you're coming with me, whether you like it or not, because I'm not doing this on my own. So I was in a real mess, just an anxious, sweaty, disgusting mess at this point, thinking, what am I doing? Anyway, we got to the airport and I tried sobering her up a bit and with coffee, and she felt fine. She was okay. But little did I know that once we got on the plane, she literally passed out. She was asleep at the time we've even taken off. And I'm like, this is not okay. Like, I am so scared right now. I'm basically flying on my own because she's passed out next to me. She's oblivious to anything that was happening. Anyway, we made the journey and there was lots of bumps and noises and I was just so uncomfortable. And there was no one there, I felt, to reassure me, or I was in this situation where I was so uncomfortable, so out of my comfort zone. And it was just my thought was convincing me there was something wrong with the plane and we're going to fall out the sky. And it was just awful. That moment, that actual moment, I sat there and I thought, this isn't how I want my life to feel right now. And I can't keep avoiding the fear. I need to face it head on. Like, this is ridiculous. I cannot keep going through life. I'm an adult being scared. And this is where I decided to do something about it, because I come to the conclusion that the only way that we can become stronger is to conquer our fear. I mean, that's it. That's the only answer. No one is going to be able to make this better for me. I'm going to have to do it myself. So I decided enough is enough. Instead of waiting for fear to go away, which I knew that it was never, ever going to do, I went straight in head first for it. And I enrolled in a ground school for an airline, not the one I'm in now, but I enrolled in an airline. And everyone thought I was absolutely crazy. They were like, what? Flying? Don't be silly. The people that knew me and knew how petrified I was, they were like, oh my God, Sarah, like, I've heard you've done some crazy stuff in your life, but this is absolutely tops them all. Like, there's just absolutely no way you are going to do this. Well, I proved them wrong because I did 6 weeks of ground school, which at that point, we weren't flying. So when you do ground school, you don't fly at all for that 6 weeks. You're literally on ground and you're learning all of the procedures, evacuation and everything. Everything's covered. You know, you're not just handing out tea and coffee up in the sky. We are everything. We are amazing of the job that we do because we are not doctors, obviously, but we're first aid trained. We have to be mentally and mentors for people and support. We have to be support people, and we have to make these decisions. Like, there's so much, and you know, in an emergency, we have to get you all off that plane. So I knew how important this role was, but I learned such a lot at that ground school. You know, and I then started to change my way of thinking because I learned how planes are designed in the way they are, to be able to fly, and that turbulence is an uncomfortable thing, but it's actually not a dangerous thing. And the aircraft is built for it. Every noise has a purpose. like the flaps, the landing gear, the airflow. None of it's dangerous. So all the noises that you hear in the aircraft, it's got a purpose for it. And the pilots, they're so trained. They train relentlessly for safety over and over again, every 6 months. And they're so knowledgeable. And it's really important I ask any questions. When I fly or when I started flying, I was always asking questions, and they're just so knowledgeable. And the more I've learned, the less mystery there was. And the fear kind of goes because you have more knowledge. And it just gave me a little bit more control of my thoughts because I know the background of it and I've got so much more knowledge. So what started for me as a coping mechanism ended up becoming a passion, and eventually it's become my career. Flying to me now is a happy place. It's where I feel most calm, proud, and I'm in my element. And I want that same freedom for everyone else who fears like I did once. I want to be able to help you overcome that fear. So here are some strategies that truly help me understand of turbulence. If you're scared every time we do have turbulence, this is what I thought about. It's like bumps on a road. It's movement. It's not a danger. The aircraft cannot fall out of the sky through turbulence. And breathe in through your stomach. So if you are having a bit of a panic attack, try not to breathe through your chest, breathe through your stomach. And it kind of switches off your panic signals as well by breathing slowly, breathing in for 3, out for 3, and controlling your breathing. Always choose a seat that's in the overwing because that's the most stable part of the plane, or towards the front, because the more towards the back you sit, the bumpier it is on the plane. And always talk to your crew. So we're always there to help you. So we'll reassure you, we'll explain what's happening and help you to feel safe. Don't be afraid to reach out, press your call bell, or even when you're stepping on board, just mention to the crew that you have a fear of flying because we look after you. In the airline that I work on, we have a special code. So if you tell ground staff that you're actually a bit nervous in flying, they pop your name under a code. So when, as a cabin manager, I'm looking at my iPad, I can actually see that you are a nervous flyer. So if you don't feel confident enough to say anything to us, we always approach you and just let you know that we're there if you need us. So that's just one thing to think about. Whatever airline that you fly with, always ask ground crew because they will, if you tell them first, they will tell us so we can help you. And stay present. So ground yourself. Use your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 rule, if you know what that is. So 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 you can taste. So if you use that, that kind of keeps you grounded and keeps your mind off it as well. And also, this is a big one, which a lot of people tend to do the complete opposite because they feel that it helps them. But you need to try to avoid caffeine and alcohol pre-flight because it just heightens anxiety. Even, look, it's a hard one because people think drinking alcohol and get obliterated before you get on the aircraft is just going to cancel it all out. Like, it's not overcoming fear. It's like a Band-Aid. And 9 times out of 10, you can feel absolutely awful if you've drunk too much and then you start flying, can actually make you sick. So try to avoid pre-flight and try the other things that I've told you to try because they will help you. But you've always got to remind yourself that you are safe. Commercial aviation is the safest form of travel in the world. I know lately we've seen some aircrafts crashes and bits and pieces, but it is the safest way of traveling. That's what you've got to think about. The chances of you having an air disaster, you've got more chances in having a car accident every day that you get into your car. So you've always got to keep thinking that in your mind. Being out of your comfort zone is really uncomfortable, and I get that, and I'm one for that. But that's the whole point. You need to be uncomfortable because fear can't define your life. You have to become strong and not let fear define your life. If I can go from being a terrified child to a travel-loving cabin manager, you can rewrite your relationship with flying too. Like, if I can do it, anyone out there can do it. There's no excuses. Like, if I can do it, you can do it. Be brave, ask questions, and remember, courage isn't fear disappearing. It's choosing not to let fear control you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you're someone who fears flying or you know someone who does, please share this with them. You never know, this might help them. Make sure to follow the podcast and message me your questions. I'd love hearing from you. And remember, sometimes the biggest growth happens at 30,000 feet in the sky. See you next time. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Fit to Lead. I really do appreciate you being here and taking the time to listen. If you have enjoyed it, please share it with your friends, family, or anyone who might find it helpful. And don't forget, you can grab your free guide. The Busy Body Blueprint is packed with food ideas and practical tips to help you stay on top of your health, wellness, and mindset. To stay connected, follow me on Instagram at Fit to Lead Podcast or head over to oscarsnetwork.com for more. Thanks again for listening, and remember, stay fit to lead.